the squat is a very normal movement. It's very natural to the human body, and yet there's so much variety in the forms, and it seems so unique to the individual. Depending on leverages, bone lengths, and just in general, your genetically predisposed structures. So, with that in mind, I would like to suggest that for me personally, Arthur grass squatting is pretty easy. Reason being is because my femurs are a lot shorter and my hips are a bit more mobile. Now, surprisingly though, I would have assumed that my quads would have been the most dominant in this movement. With so much of these knees over toes and knee flexion, you would expect that your quads would work a lot in this stance. And yet I seem to be very posterior dominant. I use my glutes a lot and my hip drive, and despite the knees over toes and going arse to grass, most of my development comes in my glutes. They are honestly really big when I saw this video, and I was pretty surprised. And in comparison, or similar to what I see in others, for Ivan Juric, he seems to also be very posterior dominant. So his glutes are also pretty big, and he seems to drive back a bit with his hips. And that's something that you start to see in his squat movement. So why is it that with Olympic lifters, they seem to have such developed quads? Their squat movement seems to truly drive in with their quads, knees way past over the toes, and their back is very vertical. It's super straight, and it's surprising to see because sometimes they have excessive anterior pelvic tilt, and yet they, from what we see, at least, or what we perceive, it doesn't seem to affect them too much. For me personally, if I go excessive anterior pelvic tilt, I seem to get a lot of stress in my lower back, and it just doesn't work for me. So what happens is, the reason why I do anterior pelvic tilt is to compensate for the lack of ankle dorsiflexion. I can't really get my knees past my toes that efficiently, and therefore I kind of compensate with that hip mobility, going around and driving back with my hips. Therefore, why I have so much of this development in my glutes. I tried working on my form, and I tried leaning a bit more forward, and I really could not lift as much weight. The load on my quads, I was definitely not used to this. And if you just go back in my video, you could see that my 110 kilo single came in slower than my 115 kilo squat. That is because in the 110, I was trying to focus on driving through with my quads. The 115, I did so with my just natural state. So that also makes me one question, well, does form truly matter to maximize strength output? I think there's a certain level of technical aspect that is demanded in order to properly lift, but sometimes there's small flaws in the form that occur naturally in order for us to maximize our output. Sometimes the body just feels the most comfortable if you have a bit of hip hinge, or if you lean more on your right side, or if you maybe you just lean in a lot and almost good morning your squat. That's where you see the most strength, because maybe you see the most power output in your hips. So is it really that wrong to have supposedly poor form but still truly peak in your potential? Now, I do believe that by correcting your form, you can further develop your strength, but I don't think it's too necessary. If we extrapolate it to other disciplines, so sprinting, you see Usain Bolt's form. He has he's not the most technical compared to other sprinters like Justin Gatlin. So when you think about it, would it be possible that Usain Bolt could run faster if he had Justin Gatlin's form? Or is it that if he purposely tried to apply that perfect form, that he would actually become slower because his body's not adapted to it, and he's naturally more adapted to that less technical and just long strided form. So I guess what I'm trying to come at is the human body is very adaptable to external loads. Whether you have a load, your body doesn't really care what it is. It will just push forward and it will try to resist the load. So that means that it will find any kind of posture that maximizes your strength output. This is something that I want to think about a bit more, and I lack a lot of knowledge in. So yeah, that's basically it, and I'll finish it off here.